There comes a moment in every person's life when the pursuit of financial stability begins to feel heavier than it should. We start to wonder, why do some people seem to attract abundance effortlessly, while others work endlessly and still feel trapped in scarcity? This question, more than a search for economic comfort, is a spiritual inquiry about alignment, about the invisible energy we carry within us that either invites or resists prosperity. Money is not merely paper, nor is it an abstract concept. It is energy in motion responding to the vibration we emit through our beliefs, emotions, and daily habits. When your internal vibration is tangled in fear, guilt, or self-doubt, it sends out frequencies of resistance, and the universe, in its perfect neutrality, simply echoes what it receives. But what if you could tune yourself like an instrument? What if you could learn to vibrate in harmony with abundance, not through forced optimism or shallow affirmations, but through genuine coherence between heart, mind, and body? This video is not about manifesting money overnight. It is about awakening to a higher understanding of how your vibrational signature, your energetic fingerprint, shapes the flow of your financial life. By learning to adjust this frequency, you begin to experience a shift that transcends numbers in a bank account. It becomes a transformation of identity, self-worth, and trust in the unseen forces that guide your path. Throughout this journey, we'll explore how fear creates energetic noise that repels prosperity, how subconscious patterns shape your relationship with money, and how gratitude and presence reprogram your energetic field for abundance. The goal is not to chase wealth, but to allow it, to become a vessel through which financial energy flows naturally, without struggle or resistance. Because when you align your vibration with the frequency of prosperity, life ceases to be a constant chase and becomes a graceful collaboration with the universe. There is an unspoken rhythm beneath every thought, every decision, every sigh that escapes you when you think about money. It is the quiet hum of energy that either opens or closes the gateways of abundance. Most people never realize that their struggles with financial flow are not rooted in logic or effort, but in vibration. They try harder, push longer, and plan with precision, yet something unseen continues to sabotage their progress. That something is the silent frequency of scarcity, a vibration born not from a lack of opportunities, but from unresolved fear, doubt, and emotional memory. Scarcity does not announce itself. It whispers through hesitation, guilt, and the chronic belief that safety must be earned through exhaustion. From early childhood, many of us are taught that money is survival, that abundance must be deserved through relentless struggle. We inherit stories that shape our energetic signature, that having too much makes us selfish, that success isolates us, that others' needs come before our own. These beliefs settle deep in the subconscious, becoming the invisible architecture of our energetic field. As adults, we may recite affirmations about wealth, yet beneath the surface, an old script is running, one that equates expansion with danger. The universe does not punish or reward, it mirrors. So when your vibration silently declares, "I am not safe to receive," life simply reflects that signal back. But energy can be retuned. Imagine your mind as an instrument, slightly out of key. Each memory, fear, and unresolved emotion pulls a string too tight or leaves another too loose. The process of adjusting your vibrational signature is not about pretending these distortions do not exist. It is about listening deeply enough to hear them. When you allow yourself to feel the discomfort of your financial fears, not to indulge in them but to acknowledge them, you begin to harmonize your inner frequency. Awareness becomes the first note in the melody of change. The truth is that abundance responds to coherence, not control. You cannot force prosperity through tension. It enters naturally through openness. Think of the moments in your life when opportunities appeared effortlessly, when you were aligned, calm, and fully present. That was coherence at work, the alignment of thought, emotion, and action vibrating in unison. The mistake most people make is believing they must chase this alignment, when in fact, alignment is our natural state. It returns the moment we release resistance. Resistance often wears the mask of overthinking, constant planning, or comparing ourselves to others. Each act of comparison tells the universe, "I am separate from the flow," and the flow responds in kind by stepping away. To adjust your vibrational signature, you must learn to feel before you act. This does not mean becoming passive. It means allowing emotion to guide timing. There is a sacred intelligence in energy that cannot be measured by productivity. When you pause before sending an email, when you breathe before making a financial decision, when you notice how your body feels as you commit to a project, you are communicating with the unseen. You are reminding your nervous system that safety does not depend on outcome but on presence. And presence in its most refined form is abundance. Every spiritual tradition, every philosophy of manifestation ultimately converges on one truth. Your internal world organizes your external reality. In quantum terms, your focus collapses potential into form. But beyond the science, there is something more tender, an invitation. The universe is not testing you, it is waiting for you to vibrate in honesty. When you stop pretending that you feel abundant and instead admit your fears, you become real, and reality can finally meet you there. Abundance does not flow toward performance, it flows toward authenticity. Notice how energy shifts when you appreciate what already exists. Gratitude is not a moral exercise, it is vibrational realignment. Each time you thank life sincerely, you momentarily tune your frequency to receive more. Gratitude breaks the loop of scarcity because it reminds the body that abundance is not a future event, but a current state. When you dwell in that recognition, even briefly, you begin to magnetize experiences that resonate with sufficiency. The external world starts to echo your inner harmony. You may have believed that changing your life required immense effort, but true transformation begins in subtle awareness. When you start identifying the energetic quality of your thoughts, when you sense whether a choice feels expansive or contracted, you begin to act from a higher field of intelligence. This is not wishful thinking, it is energetic precision. Every coherent thought is an instruction to the universe, and every emotion aligned with trust amplifies that instruction. Over time, this practice reprograms your subconscious to perceive opportunities where once you saw limitation. There will be days when scarcity tries to return, disguised as logic or self-protection. It will tell you to shrink, to wait, to prove yourself once more. In those moments, remember that scarcity cannot exist in the same space as awareness. When you observe it without judgment, it dissolves. The act of witnessing transforms vibration. Awareness is alchemy. It turns fear into insight and contraction into movement. Adjusting your vibrational signature is not about becoming someone new, it is about returning to coherence. Beneath the noise of anxiety and the weight of old stories, your essence already vibrates with abundance. The journey is not toward wealth, but toward remembering your natural state of sufficiency. When you rest in that truth, the financial flow you once chased begins to move toward you. It does not arrive through force, but through resonance. It recognizes you as familiar, as safe as ready. And when it does, you realize that abundance was never something you had to find. It was always the sound of your own being, finally heard clearly, singing in tune with the universe. There is an art to receiving that very few people ever learn. It is not about taking, nor is it about entitlement. It is the capacity to let life give without the tension of self-doubt interrupting the exchange. Many people chase abundance but remain emotionally unavailable to receive it. They hold the vibration of effort, not the vibration of receptivity. To receive means to allow energy to move through you, to permit the flow of wealth, gratitude, and opportunity without guilt or hesitation. The paradox is that while most individuals claim to desire prosperity, their bodies and emotions still operate in resistance, subtly communicating to the universe, "I am not yet ready to hold more." When the nervous system is conditioned by years of fear or scarcity, it interprets expansion as danger. Abundance then feels overwhelming, almost threatening, because it challenges the familiar identity built around struggle. Every belief that once protected you, such as "I must earn everything the hard way," becomes a gate that restricts the flow of prosperity. This is why people often sabotage their own success at the moment it begins to unfold. They misinterpret the sensation of growth as a signal of threat. The true work of vibrational alignment lies in teaching the body that receiving is safe. When you recondition your emotional frequency to trust expansion, abundance can finally find a consistent home within you. Receiving requires the dissolution of internal noise, the endless self-negotiation between desire and unworthiness. There is a silent dialogue that echoes within the mind every time something good appears. Do I really deserve this? Or will it last? Those questions do not come from intuition. They come from history. They are echoes of ancestral fear, childhood messaging, and cultural conditioning. The universe does not measure worth. It measures resonance. It gives where space exists, where permission is vibrationally declared. When you emit gratitude without attachment, you invite the universe to continue the dialogue. Gratitude is not the final step of manifestation. It is the frequency that keeps the conversation open. Imagine for a moment that life is a river, and you are the vessel floating on its surface. You cannot control its current, yet you can choose how open your sails are. When fear tightens your grip, the sail collapses. When trust expands your chest, the wind carries you effortlessly. This is the subtle art of allowing. Allowing does not mean passivity. It is an active participation in the natural rhythm of the universe. It is saying, I am willing to experience the fullness of this moment without trying to manipulate its outcome. True prosperity begins here, not in control, but in surrender. The energy of receptivity is intimately connected to presence. The mind loves to project abundance into the future, a time when conditions are perfect, debts are cleared, or goals are achieved. But abundance does not arrive in a future moment. It can only be felt now. When your awareness rests fully in the present, your energy field becomes permeable, open to the subtle whispers of intuition that guide your next step. In this stillness, creativity awakens. You begin to sense when to act and when to pause. You no longer chase, you collaborate. Every decision, every conversation carries the tone of calm certainty. This is what abundance sounds like when it speaks. At its deepest level, the resonance of receiving is an act of self-worth. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are allowed to have. If your subconscious still identifies with lack, then receiving abundance feels inconsistent with your identity. This misalignment creates energetic friction. Opportunities appear but slip away. Relationships form but fade. The outer world mirrors your inner permission. To shift this pattern, you must nurture a new sense of belonging, one where prosperity is not an exception but a natural reflection of who you are. There is a quiet dignity in receiving without apology. It is a state of spiritual maturity that acknowledges reciprocity as sacred. When you receive fully, you simultaneously expand your capacity to give. Prosperity then becomes circular, a balanced exchange of energy between you and the universe. Nothing is lost, everything transforms. The same breath that inhales abundance exhales contribution. This is why generosity without resentment is such a potent frequency. It confirms to the universe that you trust in the infinite supply. You no longer operate from fear of depletion because you understand that energy, like water, must circulate to remain alive. The practice of receptivity begins in small, intimate moments. The compliment you dismiss, the help you refuse, the opportunity you postpone, each is a microcosm of your relationship with receiving. Every time you decline a gift of support, you reaffirm to your subconscious that abundance is unsafe or undeserved. Yet when you accept even a minor gesture with genuine appreciation, you subtly reprogram your vibration to welcome more. The universe listens not to words, but to patterns of energy, and every act of acceptance expands your energetic container. It is essential to understand that receiving is not only about wealth, it encompasses love, time, health, and creativity. All forms of abundance share the same frequency. When you open yourself to one, you unconsciously open the doorway to others. A life that receives freely becomes luminous. It moves with elegance, patience, and ease. There is no rush, no tension, only a quiet knowing that the next provision is already on its way. The resonance of receiving, then, is the restoration of trust. Trust that the universe is not withholding anything from you, and that you are not too late, too inexperienced, or too flawed to be chosen by abundance. When you rest in this understanding, your energy softens. You no longer beg for manifestations. You embody them. The flow of prosperity begins to mirror your inner calm. It recognizes your openness as an invitation and responds with precision. To receive is to remember who you truly are, a vessel of divine intelligence designed to circulate light, resources, and love. The universe does not reward effort alone. It rewards alignment. And alignment is nothing more than the willingness to stay open, even when your history urges you to close. The moment you release the armor of unworthiness, abundance finds you not as a visitor, but as a constant companion. It does not rush in, it returns home. And in that homecoming, you realize that the entire journey of manifestation was never about acquiring more, but about remembering that you were always worthy of the flow that was trying to reach you. Every journey toward abundance eventually arrives at one central crossroad: trust. Not the passive kind of trust that waits for miracles, but the living, breathing trust that pulses through every decision, every breath, and every heartbeat. This kind of trust is not built overnight. It is cultivated through small moments of surrender, when logic fails, and yet the soul whispers, "Keep going." The frequency of trust is the vibration that transforms uncertainty into possibility. It does not eliminate fear, it teaches you how to move with it. In the absence of trust, even the most powerful manifestations collapse under the weight of control. Trust begins where control ends. The mind, in its endless effort to secure safety, often tightens its grip around outcomes, believing that if it can just think enough, plan enough, or worry enough, it can shape the future into submission. But the tighter the grip, the more resistance builds. The universe is not coerced into cooperation. It responds to alignment. Control is the language of fear. Trust is the dialect of creation. When you operate from trust, your vibration communicates openness, readiness, and faith in divine timing. In that space, what you once chased begins to gravitate toward you, not as coincidence but as resonance. To live in the frequency of trust, one must first reconcile with the illusion of delay. We often believe that abundance has not arrived because we are missing something, some secret method, some ritual not yet mastered. But delay is not denial, it is alignment unfolding in time. Each moment that feels like waiting is actually the universe rearranging patterns and preparing you to receive without resistance. When you understand this, patience transforms from stagnation into power. You begin to perceive time not as an enemy, but as an ally working on your behalf. The mind struggles with this concept because it equates movement with progress. Yet trust reveals that true progress often looks like stillness. Consider the seasons of nature. Winter may appear lifeless, but beneath the frozen surface, roots deepen, preparing for the spring that must come. The same is true for your manifestations. When nothing seems to be happening, everything essential is taking form beyond your sight. Trust allows you to rest in this invisible process. It gives you permission to stop forcing outcomes and start cooperating with the rhythm of creation. The energy of trust is not naive, it is courageous. It requires facing uncertainty without collapsing into despair. It demands that you believe in what cannot yet be measured. When you vibrate in trust, your nervous system relaxes, your intuition sharpens, and your perception expands. You begin to notice subtle opportunities that anxiety once obscured. Synchronicities multiply because your awareness becomes attuned to them. What others call luck, you recognize as alignment. Trust is also relational. It is the bridge between you and the universe, between your intention and the infinite intelligence that fulfills it. Yet this relationship mirrors your internal trust. If you do not trust yourself, your choices, your worth, your inner wisdom, how can you fully trust the flow of life? The universe can only meet you at the level of faith you extend toward your own being. Reclaiming self-trust requires forgiveness. Forgiveness for past mistakes, for paths abandoned too soon, for times you ignored your intuition. When you release self-judgment, you clear the energetic interference that once distorted your frequency. What remains is coherence, a vibrational clarity that the universe instantly recognizes. Many people confuse trust with passivity, but trust is an active vibration. It is the art of moving forward without demanding evidence. It is not blind optimism, it is conscious participation in mystery. In this state, your actions are not driven by fear of loss, but by love of alignment. You make decisions not to avoid failure, but to express faith. Each step becomes an offering, each effort a dialogue with the unseen. Over time, this rhythm becomes natural, like breathing. You no longer question whether the flow exists, you feel it moving through you. It is important to understand that trust and surrender are not identical. Surrender is the act of releasing control. Trust is the frequency that sustains you after the release. Without trust, surrender turns into resignation. With trust, surrender becomes empowerment. This distinction matters because abundance requires both, letting go and believing. They are the inhale and exhale of manifestation. The inhale receives guidance. The exhale acts upon it. Together they create harmony between divine will and human choice. Every vibration of fear carries a hidden question. Can I really rely on life? The answer, whispered by the rhythm of existence itself, is always yes. Life is not random. It is responsive. It does not punish. It calibrates. When you align your vibration with trust, you signal to the universe that you are ready to co-create rather than control. The external world begins to mirror this shift. Conversations open, connections appear, and resources gather around your intention. The current of abundance, once obstructed by doubt, flows unobstructed again. There will still be moments when trust wavers. Even the most aligned individuals encounter uncertainty. But in those moments, remember that doubt does not cancel manifestation. Resistance does. You can doubt and still move forward. You can question and still remain aligned. Trust is not perfection. It is persistence in presence. It is the willingness to stay open, even when your mind screams for evidence. And the beauty of it is this: every time you choose trust over fear, you strengthen your energetic signal. The universe begins to read your vibration not as hesitation, but as clarity. Ultimately, the frequency of trust is the frequency of peace. It is the energetic state in which your desires no longer feel like distant goals, but natural extensions of your being. When you embody trust, abundance ceases to be a pursuit and becomes a reflection. You begin to live in a rhythm where everything arrives at the right time, through the right channel, for the right purpose. There is no need to rush because nothing real can be missed. And so trust becomes your silent language with the universe, a conversation without words, an agreement without signatures. It is the frequency through which miracles recognize their way home. And once you dwell within that vibration, you will no longer wonder if the flow will come. You will know that it never left. There is a rhythm that governs every aspect of life, a silent pulse that orchestrates the meeting of intention and reality. When your inner state resonates with that rhythm, you experience alignment, the effortless harmony between who you are and what you attract. Alignment is not perfection, it is coherence. It is the state in which your thoughts, emotions, and actions play in the same key, creating a frequency so consistent that the universe cannot help but respond. To live in alignment is to become music in motion, and prosperity in all its forms begins to follow that melody. Many misunderstand alignment as a destination, as though one could permanently arrive at a state of balance and remain untouched by chaos. But alignment is dynamic. It breathes. It expands and contracts just as the tides of the ocean do. The human experience will always include waves of contrast, moments when fear, doubt, or resistance rise to the surface. These moments do not signify failure. They reveal where harmony has been disrupted. Just as a skilled musician listens for discordant notes to fine-tune their instrument, alignment requires awareness. You must listen to the subtle shifts in your vibration and recalibrate with patience and compassion. When you are misaligned, life feels like friction. Opportunities slip away, timing feels off, and fatigue becomes a constant companion. But when you move back into coherence, even small actions create profound results. This is because alignment multiplies energy. It focuses your life force into a single direction rather than scattering it across conflicting intentions. The universe recognizes this clarity and mirrors it back through synchronicity, through the right people and the right timing. Alignment, then, is not something you achieve through force. It is something you remember by softening into truth. At the heart of alignment lies integrity, the congruence between what you feel and what you express. Every time you deny an emotion, pretend enthusiasm, or suppress intuition to maintain appearances, you fracture your energetic field. This fragmentation confuses the frequency you emit. The universe hears mixed signals. One part of you says yes, another part says no. The response you receive will match that confusion. Integrity does not mean moral perfection. It means internal unity. It is the willingness to live honestly with yourself, to admit when something no longer resonates, even if it once did. When your actions honor your authentic vibration, you align naturally with the path that was always meant for you. Another essential component of alignment is emotional regulation. Emotions are not enemies to be conquered, they are messengers. Anger, fear, and sadness carry information about where energy is blocked or misdirected. Ignoring them is like silencing an instrument out of tune. It only deepens the discord. When you approach these emotions with curiosity rather than judgment, you begin to restore harmony. This is the moment when transformation occurs. You no longer resist the emotional current. You learn to conduct it. Through stillness, breath, and presence, you translate chaotic energy into creative momentum. The process of aligning your vibration also demands embodiment. Alignment cannot exist only in the mind. It must descend into the body, into posture, breath, and movement. Your body is the physical translator of your frequency. The way you walk, the rhythm of your speech, the steadiness of your gaze, all communicate vibrational signals to the world. If your body moves with hesitation, your energy announces uncertainty. When your body moves with calm assurance, your vibration declares readiness. This is why rituals of embodiment, stretching, breathing, dancing, or even moments of silence, are not luxuries. They are tools for recalibration. They teach your nervous system that safety and expansion can coexist. Alignment also thrives on discernment, the ability to distinguish between what aligns and what distracts. Not every opportunity is meant to be seized, and not every invitation requires acceptance. Discernment is the energetic filter that keeps your vibration pure. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your focus. When you say yes only to what resonates, you amplify your signal. The most aligned individuals are not those who do the most, but those who act from clarity. Each decision they make becomes a note that strengthens their symphony. There is an ancient wisdom that suggests the universe is always in conversation with us, but few know how to listen. The language of alignment is subtle. It speaks through sensations, coincidences, and intuition. When you are aligned, life feels like gentle confirmation. Doors open effortlessly, timing synchronizes, and peace accompanies even the unknown. When you are misaligned, life begins to resist. Events stall, and discomfort grows louder. These are not punishments, but signals, guiding you back to coherence. The universe does not withhold, it redirects. One of the greatest challenges in sustaining alignment is the influence of external noise. The world constantly demands attention, comparison, and validation, but alignment requires solitude. It asks that you withdraw from the chaos long enough to remember your own rhythm. In silence, you rediscover your natural frequency, the one that existed before fear, competition, and expectation distorted it. This return to silence is not withdrawal from life. It is the tuning process before rejoining the orchestra. When you emerge from this quiet clarity, your interactions with the world become harmonious rather than reactive. Ultimately, alignment is a spiritual dialogue between the self and the cosmos. It is the recognition that you are both musician and instrument, both creator and creation. Each moment of awareness becomes a tuning fork, bringing your vibration closer to resonance with the divine. And in that resonance, abundance flows, not as reward, but as reflection. The flow of money, love, health, and opportunity is simply the outer echo of an inner harmony restored. The symphony of alignment teaches that prosperity is never forced. It is conducted. It does not require perfection, but participation. Each time you pause to breathe, to listen, to honor what feels true, you strike a new chord of coherence. Gradually the noise fades, and what remains is music, a vibration so pure that the universe itself responds in kind. When your life begins to sound like peace, you will know that you are aligned, and in that harmony everything you once sought begins to arrive naturally, as though it had been waiting all along for you to remember the song. In the end, the journey toward adjusting your vibrational signature is a journey of remembrance. You are not learning how to become abundant. You are remembering that you already are. Every challenge you faced, every delay, every doubt was not an obstacle. It was a mirror reflecting where your energy had forgotten its natural rhythm. When you release the struggle to control outcomes and instead choose to align with the essence of trust, gratitude, and authenticity, you return to your original frequency, the one that has always been in harmony with abundance. Abundance was never something to be conquered. It was something to be allowed. The universe has never withheld from you. It has only responded to your vibration with perfect precision. When your inner state shifts from fear to openness, from scarcity to sufficiency, the external world begins to reshape itself accordingly. You start to notice opportunities appearing effortlessly, relationships that feel divinely timed, and solutions arising from intuition rather than anxiety. This is the flow, where action becomes inspired rather than forced, and manifestation becomes a natural extension of being rather than a desperate attempt to prove worth. Adjusting your vibrational signature means living as an energetic participant in creation. It means understanding that your thoughts are not random, your emotions are not distractions, and your presence is not insignificant. You are a transmitter of frequency, and every moment offers the choice to broadcast coherence or chaos. When you choose coherence, through gratitude, trust, and alignment, you emit a signal that calls forth experiences equal to your highest self. In this space, money becomes energy, work becomes purpose, and life becomes harmony. The greatest truth of all is this: you were never separate from the flow. You simply forgot your part in its rhythm. When you remember it, the struggle ends, and the symphony begins again. So take a moment to reflect deeply. If the universe is already responding to your vibration, what are you truly communicating right now? If your energy is the language of creation, what story are you telling through your frequency? If this message resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring the depths of vibration, energy, and alignment together. Your journey toward abundance is only beginning, and there is so much more waiting to be remembered. Continue watching the next video on the screen and keep allowing the flow to guide you home to the abundance that has always been yours.